this simply and clearly. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. It is waiting upon your awakening to it. But as long as you are complaining, you will not see it. As long as you are seeking it out in the physical world, you will not experience it. As long as you are pointing the finger at other people, other institutions, other places, you will not recognize that it is already there within you. What are the demands that you are placing upon your faith? And what is your faith? What is it that you believe in? Many of us have been brought up to believe in a God that was someplace out there, that created the world and then left us, abandoned us. Can you imagine that as a God? The loving presence, the divine, that would abandon its own creation? Not in my mind. That no longer works. It's not someplace out there. It is right within. And in my travels and in my journey and in my seeking, and trust me, I have sought it everywhere. I have been around the world looking for God. I have been in most of the traditions. I've tried them all at least once, trying to find God. And I know that even though I resonate and I align with the teachings and the principles of science of mind, it is not the only path to God. You could be pagan. Yeah. And still find that divine within you. Because there's only one destination. The divine. There's no other place to go. There really is no heaven and no hell, except for what you create. What are you creating in your life? You know, if you got a choice between heaven and hell, what are you creating? What are you bringing forth? Now, as simple as this says, it's not easy. It is not easy. That's why we provide the instructions. That's why we facilitate and guide through the coursework, through meditation, through prayer work. That's why you have the Science of Mind magazine. It has a daily affirmation. How easy could this get? Just read the daily affirmation. So simple, and yet so few are taking the opportunity to do this. And you don't have to read them all. Pick one. Read it for a year. I guarantee you that if you took one affirmation and you read it every day, and you journaled about what that meant to you that day, by the end of the year, you would have raised your consciousness to levels that you would not have imagined. You would have awakened to a new truth that you would not yet understand. And it doesn't have to just be the science of mind, although I'm pushing the science of mind. You know? I want you to read this. I invite you to read this. And if I could, I would require you to read this. But I give you the choice. Read Scripture. Read the Bhagavad Gita. There is so much good in the world. But don't try to do it all. And don't try to make one the only way. Find the one that works for you and stick with it. Stick with it until you prove something. And how will you know that you prove something? You'll look at your life. If you want more prosperity in your life, and you're not reading one of the abundance books, and practicing it and working it until you get it. So you read it one day and it didn't work. It's not the book. It's your consciousness. How much do you have to get through in order for it to make sense? So often I look at my life and I realize it took me 64 years to get here. It's going to take me another 60 years to get through what I've already accumulated. And some of it's baggage. Some of it has to be let go. Some of it has to be released. And I'm forever in this letting go of more and more and more. I want to let go of that which no longer serves me. And when I find something that works for me, and it may not work for you, but when I find something that works for me, I stick with it. And I stay with it until everything in my experience in my life and my atmosphere begins to change. And that's how I prove it. I wake up each morning and I look for the good in my life, and I'm surrounded by goodness in my life all the time. And when I see something that I think is not good, I change my thinking and I ask myself, where's the good in this? What's the lesson that I'm to learn? What is the awareness that I need to reach? What is the newness that needs to come out of this? And I always find it. Sometimes it takes me a couple of minutes, sometimes an hour, sometimes it takes weeks. Most recently, as I've shared with a few people, is that I'm reaching the anniversary of when I arrived here 6 years ago, so I'll be starting into my 7th year. And when I get to this point, I start reviewing. Is there still something more for me to do? Am I still growing? Am I still learning? Do I still have a purpose? Do they even want me here? And so it begins to look like, oh, maybe it's time to leave. Maybe now would be a good time to get out while the getting's good. And then I come to this realization that there's more for me to do. There's greater good that needs to be expressed. We're just now beginning to look like we're really fancy. Imagine what we could do if we align our consciousness together to be that magnificence that we are designed to be. It's already there. You are the people. This is the place. Now is the time. There is no other experience than this right here for all of us. So what I'd like to invite you is to go on just a little journey with me. So we're going to go within. And I just want you to relax, settle in, take a nice deep breath, and if it feels okay, close your eyes and just ride with the music for a minute or two. It's very easy to know where we've been. We can look backwards, reflect on our life, our experience. We can remember the bad days and the good days. And there are many days that are somewhere in between. They were just there. But we seem to have all had the experience of traveling life through the peaks and the valleys, the plateaus and the summits. imagine, if you will,